So yeah, 2020, right? When I started into 2020, I was so hopeful because there were so many things that would happen this year. I would graduate, I'd find a new job, I'd move to a new city. All of these really cool things that are exciting and new and just, something to spice up your life. And then come March, we are like in a lockdown. And I have to admit, during the first lockdown, I didn't really feel anything bad about the pandemic, mainly because it was exactly the way I imagined my life to be at that point. I was writing my thesis, so I expected myself to be locked up inside. I also planned on moving back with my parents for writing the thesis to save rent. So during the first half of the year, I felt pretty good about everything. And then I think I hit a very low point. Well, I already hit one low point during writing my thesis, but I think that's natural when you have to write like so much and then it's such a big part of your grade. But yeah, I think I really hit a low in October and I didn't really manage to get out. And I also didn't really give myself the time to get out of it because I was just in this mindset of I need to write applications. Like I need to sit down in the morning and write applications and send them out and just start my future. So I didn't really give myself the time to reflect. But yeah, at last I found a job. Everything worked out a little bit different, not just a little bit. Everything went the complete opposite direction than I expected, but that's fine. Anyway, so I hit a low point and I never let myself get out of that low point. Good thing that the new year is starting and I have this tradition of reflecting during the new year, and it's something that is planned into my calendar, into my year. So there was really no point of me postponing the self-reflection anymore and kind of working through all of these negative emotions that I have. Yeah, so that's what I did, and I wanted to take you on the journey with me. And I think what better way to start than with the process of figuring out a path. It's December 31st now, New Year's Eve, and it's around 6. At 8, my grandparents are coming over for dinner, and then it's kind of like celebration starting. I always do some reflection on New Year's Eve and then write a letter to myself, which I then open a year later. So alas, it's December 31st, and it's time to open this letter that I wrote last year. I'm quite excited. Every year I think I'm going to remember what I wrote in it, and then I'm like, I have no clue. But yeah, I'm quite curious. I used to prepare reflection questions. I think there are also like some reflection guides that you can use. But throughout the years I realized that it's more effective for me if I just write down what I feel and then work through these feelings. So yeah, I'm going to start opening the letter and then reading it, and afterwards I'm just going to write down whatever I feel, and I will see what time it is then, whether I will start working through what I read or whether I will do it the next day. Sometimes, depending on how emotionally invested I am in what I'm writing, it helps me to just have a little bit of distance. But yeah, I'm very curious. I don't really have a theme when it comes to writing this letter. I just write whatever is on my mind and whatever I think I might need 1 year from now. It normally turns out to be the right thing, but then who could have foreseen 2020? So yeah, I'm going to put on my Spotify playlist for 2020. Oh, and fireworks. And yeah, start reflecting on the past year. I'm not so sure how I feel about this. I think it was mostly funny. Not that there were any jokes in there, but I wrote down all of my hopes and wishes and goals for 2020. and I didn't achieve any of them. So yeah, so here's the thing. On one hand, I want to blame the whole pandemic situation because it is partly responsible. But if I do that, then I'm taking away all of my agency, and then I feel like there's nothing I can change because then it's out of my hands. And that's scary. I don't like that thought. But at the same time, if I blame myself for everything I wanted to achieve and couldn't, then that means that everything I did was wrong, which is also not true. So yeah, in parts, the pandemic is very much responsible for the way I feel. And in other parts, it's my responsibility. And I guess what I now need to figure out is which part I can seize control of and what I have to let go, I think. I was thinking about what to do now. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to write down everything I feel, everything I fear, everything I'm insecure about, but maybe also what I feel, and not maybe, and also what I feel proud of, and what I have achieved, and what I want to keep. Yeah, I'm going to do that, and then normally from there I can figure it out. The next step then becomes quite obvious. So I'll do that now. So I finished writing down everything that was on my mind, and it felt really good. Yeah, it was the right decision to go this way. What I'm going to do next is writing the letter to myself. So I didn't set any goals for next year yet, but it still feels right to first write the letter to myself because I want to kind of capture what I just found out and what I wrote down and the mood that I'm in right now. And I think that would help my future self maybe more than, any great hopes for the future. I'm finished writing the letter to myself and it's ugly. It's very ugly. It's sad or very promising, but I love the content. I feel incredible. I feel like I can really start into 2021 positively now. I kind of felt the blues earlier today and pretty much the whole December, but I'm good now. I feel like I'm excited now for 2021. And I'm also excited to sit down tomorrow and make proper plans and find strategies on how I can incorporate the things that I kind of learned about myself into 2020 and into my routine and how I can build new habits and which habits I want to build. I wouldn't say I have a direction now. I'm still a bit lost. I cannot see the end yet, but I can see the path. That was more than I was hoping for. Yeah. So I'm getting dressed now, put on lipstick, and then I'm going to welcome 2021. We had so many things planned for New Year's this year. Initially, we would have been in Italy skiing, and then when we already knew that we could not go to Italy, we wanted to have a Halloween party because it's my grandma's birthday on Halloween, and then in 2020 we couldn't celebrate it together because of lockdown measures, and then also half of the family was in quarantine, and we planned this big Halloween party, and we couldn't do it. So we thought we would do it on New Year's Eve, which we then also couldn't do because the lockdown got even worse. So everything changed. We planned a secret Santa with self-made presents, and we couldn't do that as well. And we didn't want to just cancel it. So I was collecting all of the presents and then distributing them again among everybody. And then when we had like our separate New Year celebrations, we filmed ourselves opening the presents. So we kind of still kept the idea of doing a secret Santa together, which was quite nice. It was really funny. But yeah, and then it was already time to welcome the new year. My cousin and aunt and uncle, they celebrated across the street and we met up. They were standing on one part of the porch, we were standing on the other side of the porch, and then we were like welcoming the new year together. It was different, of course, but it was still very nice. I was so done with 2020 at this point. Yeah, but that pretty much was the reflection part of the New Year's reflection. I don't dwell too long on that part, but I will say I was talking to my friends beforehand, and then the day after I was talking to another friend, and for me that always helps. Like, I think a big part of self-reflection is also talking to other people about your problems, or not just your problems, it can also be something good, because you yourself have a limited view and other people can then help you to mirror your behavior or what you say, your thoughts, and also give you like a different perspective on issues. So I really like to do that, and at the point that I'm like did the reflection, I already like went through this process. And I also do reflect throughout the year. I had a really big reflection back when I was writing my master thesis. I do tend to do it when I feel the need for it. So by the end of the year, it's not like, oh, I have to work like through 100 things. I didn't do the goal setting the next day. I wanted to have a chilled 1st of January. But I was like thinking through, because there are a lot of things I want to accomplish this year. But I think in the past, when I set like proper New Year's resolutions, I would have so many things on my list and I never would really achieve them. So I decided in the end to settle on 2 goals, and I want to share one with you because I have an idea for the second one. But one of my goals is work on my mental health. And that's more, the measure of it is not very clear. It's not like a very smart goal. I think what I would measure the goal achievement by is just whether I feel good or not, which I think is fine for this goal. But yeah, I want to work on my mental health. And what I want to start with is getting back into sports and reading, because I realized being active physically helps me to just be more balanced, and it makes me just feel better. And reading books just challenges my thinking and helps me to view issues and topics differently. That always gives me a great deal of inspiration. So that's 2 things that I first want to incorporate back into my routine, because I've kind of slacked off on it in December. December was just a lazy month for me. I have to say, at one point I just made the conscious decision of not doing any sports, and then I didn't. But yeah, I want to get back into it in January, and then I want to try new things. Because I did sports and reading last year, but I still felt really bad in the later part of the year. So there are a few more things that I want to try out just to see what helps me with my mental health. And one of them is definitely meditation. And the way I want to go about it is in this 30 days challenge mindset, where I do a meditation challenge for 30 days and then afterwards evaluate whether it helps me or not. And if it does, I will continue, and if it doesn't, I will try something else. I also could imagine yoga helping me. I was always under the impression that these things like meditation and yoga, they are so slow, and I just always thought I wouldn't have the patience for it. But I also realized during December that I have a really hard time of just being alone with my thoughts. I always need to have something under the background. I have a really hard time just sitting in silence, like drinking a tea or anything. And I really want to change that. I think it's good to be alone with your thoughts every now and then and just have these quiet moments. And I have hopes that meditation and or yoga will help me with it. So yeah, that's like the first goal I want to work on. I think that's like the closest thing to New Year's resolutions that I have, but still I want to go about it more structured. So those are my very brief and small plans for 2021. I did start this YouTube channel because I wanted to have an accountability system for myself, and I thought making these videos and documenting my progress would help, and it already did. So yeah, that's the things I have planned for 2021, and I hope you will be along on the journey with me. So hopefully see you in the next video.